Good evening, everybody. I am not your swordmaster, Mr. Nicholas Anthony Talkert. I am, however, Trelena Bachman. And first off, we're going to pay some bills. We are brought to you by the Historical Fencing Guild patrons over at Patreon and the ongoing series, yes, the ongoing series of the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe, and the Simple Spear by Mr. Nicholas Anthony Talkert. Oop, let me see, make sure this is actually playing. All right, I am live. And tonight we have a co-host of Mr. Rich.
How's it
Okay.
going, folks?
I was like, please don't be frozen. Don't be frozen on me. Don't you do that to me. Don't do that. Do that.
Again, the fan was pulling my hair so you could see there was actual movement.
I was like, man, he's got to breathe sometime. So our swordmaster Nick is having a week off. So this has been the week of guest hosts. We are hoping he is back next week, but until then, you have us. You poor people. Poor people. So tonight, I thought maybe we would highlight Rich's fighting style a little bit, since he is not really a rapier fighter like a lot of us. He's not an Eastern fighter like some of us. So, what style do you actually fight?
Um, a bastardized version of Germanic longsword, based mostly on Meyer longsword.
Okay, so that's going to be the two-handed, heavier.
One to two hand. In D&D terms, the bastard sword.
Okay,
Because for some reason they don't understand that a longsword can be wielded one or two-handed, dependent. Um, So not the huge Zweihander, although I could use that stuff or with I could use Meyer with a Zweihander. It's just that I'd have to learn how that one would handle because it is a much longer sword than the typical longsword that I use.
okay. So we've sparred together. It's been a while, but we've sparred together. Do a lot of the movements carry over? Have you found, or is it? Do you have to adjust them?
Um, the funny thing is, the stance is the exact opposite.
Okay.
So, from what Nick was teaching when I started everything and was, learning the Italian with Spanish, influence, more rapier style, it's, offensive hand forward,
Mm-hmm.
where with Germanic longsword, basically you would have that portion in the back because as you're making your cut, you are stepping forward, and it is like boxing and a lot of the other um, unarmed martial arts where you are getting a lot of your power from the keeping your body kind of interlocked and um, that hip thrust follow through where you're powering through into something instead of using speed
Okay.
and
So
agility.
it's more about using your own momentum rather than like.
It's more power. It's more um, uh, bash through something. Kind of an art instead of the more finesse.
Okay. So we were kind of talking about this before the show and reach, and we will not show the video. Nick, if you're watching, I love you so much. But there is a video if you go back through the historical fencing guild's videos of Rich's child Crow, much younger, with a longer reach
Age
than Nick.
6.
How old?
6.
Oh my god, it's been that long. Oh
It's
my
been
god.
11 years.
Oh gosh. Okay. So it looks like I'm being kind of quiet, but so when Crow was 6, there is a video of them outreaching Nick.
So
Now,
the funny story of how that all began. My middle child, so Crow's my youngest.
mhm,
My middle child, who is 11 years older than Crow, wanted to come to fencing and learn to fencing with Misty and I. So Misty and I were um, fencing it. So I brought Misty along with eventually, and then my middle child Brittany wanted to come along and try it, and Nick was complaining about not having reach on an 18-year-old girl.
yeah.
So I brought Crow over at 6, thinking, hey, someone you might have reach on.
Mhm.
Crow had about an inch more reach than Nick at 6.
Yeah. I remember it happening. There's video proof, guys.
And then 6 months later, Nick wanted a repeat so that there was video proof.
Mhm.
And the thing is, Nick got down on his knees, so they were almost the same height. Um, Crow might have actually been a little taller. Um, and so there's no angle, muckery. I almost put an F in front of that. F behaved.
We're gonna be good.
But
It's gonna be good.
um, yeah, so it was kind of funny. And I was like, really? Okay, I'll record this.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder, no hobbits were harmed in the making of that video.
With that being said, you have about a foot in height in most of the people in the group that have gotten together and sparred together.
Probably at least six
Besides,
inches to a foot
yeah,
close to you.
but besides Joe, um, and you've got about that much more reach than the rest of us. Does is anything more difficult because of that? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, everybody's taller than me, so I have this issue because everybody's taller. They've got this much more reach. So are there any issues with
Um,
the opposite?
Making sure that the lower guards are covered.
Mhm.
Uh, it's going with the different styles. It's again going with a more um, um, body in motion tends to stay in motion.
Yeah.
So physics is not on my side when I commit to something.
Yeah.
And working with someone who is smaller and more agile and faster, it's a lot harder to keep up.
Mhm.
But one thing that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to a two-handed style is that I'm actually just working a lever.
Yeah.
So it's my right hand, because I'm right-handed, is my guidance system, and my left hand is providing the power through pulling the lever.
Mhm.
And the nice thing about that is if it's a guard where I can easily reverse it down below through just a simple change in the lever,
Yeah.
I can catch people.
Oh, yeah.
If I actually have to physically change my body because of whatever, that's where I'm, that's where I end up getting screwed because of a body, physics and trying to slow down and momentum and rearrange and you know reorient to face a new threat. So
Yeah. And I
um
know I've gotten caught by you before because I've gone, okay, he's got more reach than me. So I need to get him to commit to a strike and then not be there. So get you to commit, not be there, and you've changed directions and I am still in your path. And that doesn't work because then I
so
get hit and I have lost.
one of the um best moves when um working against someone who has a little more um mobility than you
Mhm.
is called dupliering.
Okay.
It double strike. So it's kind of like a feint, but again, and usually this one is one that is done as a horizontal. Um,
Okay.
and
So
then you
a
see
rotation?
me. Pardon me.
It's like a rotation?
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, so you're bringing it around this way, and then they bring the guard up, the sword up to guard over on this side, and then you
Mhm.
switch back that way, and then you catch them on the side that they're no longer guarding against because they're like, what?
Where'd you go? Yeah.
So I used to use that in a kind of altered state where I would come for an overhand and then I would come in through
Yeah.
the underhand.
Yeah, I've seen you do that before and it's super effective. But real quick, it looks like there's some questions. We do have greetings, greetings. Um, the smackings, and you've got your inner Nick going.
Actually, I chose this shirt just because I'm like, you know what? Um, at least they'll have a guy with wild hair, crazy facial hair, and a Hawaiian shirt. So, it's pseudonym.
Right? Like I lack all of that. I could not grow the facial hair and I got a haircut, but I do have just random weapons within arm's reach. So we do have that just in case anybody was worried. Um, oops, I forgot where I was going. There we go. Yes, everybody wants Nick to get better soon. And Bastard Sword, hand and a half, either way. Get better. And why is it called a Bastard Sword? I have no idea.
So in Dungeons and Dragons, they call it Bastard Sword because it can be used either one-handed or two-handed. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a bastard between both.
Yeah,
But
the
that's
heavier
actually what a
sword.
longsword has always been. A
Mm.
true longsword in the real world is the bastard sword in Dungeons and Dragons,
And here I was going to
and the
say because
longsword is
swords can't
actually
get
the
married.
I think the Armene sword.
Okay. I was going to say the heavier swords, I'm no good with them and I know a bit about them. I can make them go if I need to, but it just they're not my jam. Yep, because it's halfway between a one-handed sword and a two-hander, maybe. That's
Yep.
or maybe like the bastard eel, it bit the scientist that discovered it. I love that story so much. Oh, hopefully I'm better now. I just get quiet when I'm talking on the microphone because I feel like I'm yelling at people and I don't want to deafen the ones that have the headphones. And Thesis thinks Kitty is right. Foxy hopes that she's not right, though that is how the eel got its name. Yep. That would be an interesting theory. And Ruby thought I was a dagger fighter. So I do prefer the daggers, but I oop, I hit a random button and got rid of it. Um, so I do have my 2 daggers and a cat. That is Bread. He is the chaos gremlin. So I do have my 2 rondelles. I love these little things. But I am of the opinion that if you have a weapon in your home, you should know how to use it. So I also do rapier. I've got Dossix. I've got this lovely trainer. Um, couple lighter arming swords. I like I said, I prefer the lighter swords. Um, it also depends on when I'm sparring with somebody what they want to spar with. Like if Rich wants to go out and he wants to spar with his sword, I'm not going to go out and fight him single dagger, probably, unless it's let's see what we can do. This will be fun. I'll probably go out with a Dossic or something like that because I'll have a little more reach and be a little more rigid, so I'll be able to. What are you doing? Okay, you play with Groot, but I'll be able to hold my own a little bit better against him. So I try to match weapons a little bit. It I might not have the same weapon as the person that I'm fighting, but something close. I mean, if
I've
so,
seen some really interesting rapier longsword
oh yeah.
HEMA stuff
Mhm.
on YouTube. Um, so if I ever get back into true fighting shape and ever get to the point where um, you know, get a decent armor kit
Mhm.
and find a decent piece of steel, I would definitely love to try that.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be fun.
Oh yeah. Like there are times I'm like, "Hey, want to have some fun? We're going to do like the craziest combos we can think of." There were a couple times I think we did like longsword and buckler and dagger or something like that. I think I did dual bucklers sometime with somebody just for the lulz because it's fun. And that's
Yeah,
how you learn things.
I used Nick's tower shield like a kite shield.
Oh man. Why are you okay? My cat is eating my Groot pen holder, so that's fine. It's whatever. Good boy. You do you.
Apparently, he needs fiber.
I guess. I don't know. Eh, You do you, boo boo. As long as you're not, doing so much chaos. But and Kitty says momentum isn't exactly on my side either, Rich. Sometimes you just gotta go through it like a train. It's a crafty enemy sometimes. Yes. So your main hand is on top of the handle when using a two-handed sword, or is it on the bottom for control?
The control is actually on the top. The power is on the bottom
Okay. So is
because
your
it's a lever.
okay. So your fulcrum is gonna be your
Your
offhand
dominant hand.
essentially.
Well, um,
Is it like pool where it's, your shooting hand, or is it
so um, it would be the opposite of how you would shoot pool.
okay, so like baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, so your dominant hand is going to be on top, your offhand is going to be the bottom.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so your offhand is pulling the lever, and then your dominant hand, which is normally um your better dexterity, is
Okay.
where you are bringing in your aim.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, you want your full dexterity in aiming. where you want to go.
Yeah. So it's your control, and then again your power, because all your offhand has to do is pull the lever.
Okay. Pull the lever, Kronk.
Pull the lever, Kronk. Wrong lever.
Why do we even have that lever? And then, yes, hybrid, you're being greeted.
Oh
And
yeah, there's a hobo behind you.
yep, he is. Oh, I know why, because it's half an hour until.
Trader time.
Yep. I keep okay. Thesis, don't come for me if I get the tones wrong. I am trying. I am trying. Don't come for me. I keep a Han Dynasty John right next to my bed. One of these days, remind me to tell the story about what happened one morning when I got startled by a loud noise. Oh no. So I actually keep throwing knives in basically every room that I spend a lot of time in. Um, yeah, I think it was recently Joe almost took one. Right.
28-inch broadsword used to be right by the bedside. And sorry for the mental image that I'm about to paint. Um, um, I used to sleep skyclad.
Okay.
Um, I figure, the best home defense mechanism is a 400-pound naked screaming Viking, running at you with a sword in the middle of the night if you're trying to break into my home.
I know multiple people
I,
that
I I
that's
don't
their
care who
defense.
you are. You have to have nerves of steel to be able to keep your nerve to aim properly at that point in time.
At that point, think about your choices, think about your life because you chose wrong at some point.
400-pound naked screaming man running at you with steel.
But that also brings up a good point. If you're keeping your weapon around for home defense, train in every room. Don't just, "Oh, I'm training. I'm going to, do it in my living room." No, train in your hallway, train in your office, train in your bedroom, train in your kitchen because then you know what you can do in those rooms. Huh. 'Cause I know if I try to swing overhand in my hallway, I'm going to break the light. It did not happen yet, but I'm sure if I do it again, it will. Joe's not watching, is he? It's okay. But, then you know, and muscle
If
memory
I
will
swing
kick in.
overhand, the guard is going to get stuck in the ceiling before the blade even has a chance to hit it.
Yeah. And, you know where you can what guards you can do. Like, you shouldn't do, second in a hallway, especially if you've got some clamshelly things going on or kions.
Or if you're doing a two-handed style, if you're going with the Germanic style, it's uh, Oxflug and Albert are all perfectly fine in a hallway,
Mhm.
but and so is Long Point.
Okay.
But Talk is just going to be stuck in the ceiling, and uh, no, the Wrath Guard is just right the hell out.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's back like this, and you're just coming up and over,
Oh,
and
yeah.
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 I mean, unless you're in a garage, yeah, it's that ain't happening indoors,
Right, like, when you
especially
can.
for me.
Yeah, because well, I mean, you're
Look, might be able to
already
pull it
taking
off.
up a doorway.
Well, especially in my old house. In my old house, the hallway was about an inch on either side of my shoulders walking down.
Oh, yeah, no. At that point, it's 3rd position, like, just poke and stab. It's the sewing machine method.
Yeah, for German longsword, it'd be the Fool Guard, which is um, with the blade kind of pointed down and kind of looks like you're not really in a guard at
Mm, yeah.
all.
Yeah.
but you can quickly snap the blade up because again, it's a lever.
Yeah.
That sword can move a hell of a lot faster than you think it can.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the thing is,
Be like
um,
catapult.
it is a long, thin mass weapon.
Oh, oh, that'll mess you up.
And the thing about the longsword is, it is, so many weapons in one. You've got sword,
Yeah.
using it normal. Turn it around, using the guard, you've got a hammer or a pick. You know,
Hmm.
if you use the pommel, again, another mace type object or whatever.
Yeah.
If you are in the bind, so your swords are together, and then you end up half swording, bringing your hand up over the other side, you can turn your longsword into a dagger,
Okay.
get it into a crease in the armor,
Oh,
and go
yeah.
in.
So yeah, you can really do some damage if you know what you're doing.
It is a lot of weapons in one.
Oh yeah, it's like a Swiss Army knife. Just whoosh in German.
German
Ooh,
engineering.
right, efficient. What is a tower shield or a kite shield? So what I'm going to do is we will show pictures instead of me stumbling through an explanation because I like pictures. All right. Those are definitely fantasy tower shields. Wow. Okay.
You can probably hear Bella in the background. That's my ugly cat. Misty
All
hates
right.
when I make that joke. It's a dog that's the size of a cat, so yeah, it's an ugly cat.
Right. All right.
And the actual cat looks at me like, do not associate her with me.
Dare you. Share screen. Tower shield. Yes. Share. Present. Or add to stage. There we go. So this is going to be a tower shield. Ignore this. This is the fantasy tower stuff. But they're taller. How tall would you say these are, Rich? They're pretty tall. There we go. There's a
Uh,
decent
Tower
rendition.
shields are generally almost as tall as the person carrying it,
Yeah, it's
if
like
not
having a
taller.
door. It's a door
Yeah,
with a handle, essentially.
it's
So,
something that you can hide behind fully. Your feet are protected, your head is protected. You're protected on all sides.
yeah.
So yeah, it's the picture in the middle there with the person with the hammer. That's the perfect tower shield. You know,
And kite shields. Here we go. That's a pretty good one. It's more of a teardrop shape. There we go.
I keep forgetting that YouTube is on that monitor, so I keep seeing
Right.
flickers moving out of the corner of my eye, and it's like, what?
Yeah, I've got the same thing going on. There we go. Hopefully that answers. That's got a shield boss.
So pretty much the standard size of shield that
Mhm.
most people think of. Nick's tower shield is barely bigger than that for me.
Yeah, but Nick is also smaller than you.
Yeah,
So it's very much the Hobbit versus,
it was
a
it was kind of
person.
funny being able to hold that and hold the longsword in the other hand, and it's
Mhm.
like this is almost D&D, sword and board. You know,
Yeah. Like, and, a buckler this big is for you, that's even less. It's just, eh. It's like a puzzle.
well, yeah, they have their place.
Yeah.
Everything has their place if you know how to use it.
Yeah.
Um, and what it is, it's to get in the way of something so that you can get your something into the other person.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Buckler and Tomahawk.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
were fun.
Yeah. But it's all about your cone
Um,
of defense. So, if you're holding it here, your cone of defense is here. But if you put it out, your cone of defense is, it's what you make it.
yeah, and depending on if you're fighting thrusts, then yes, you
Mhm.
want that in front of you.
Yeah.
If you're fighting slashes, then you want it of course across so that you can. So I mean, it's all your style versus the other style, and my hands doing that on that side is weird. Um, because I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
But it's Nick always says you got to find your fight.
Find your fight.
Um,
Yep.
and that is one of the beautiful things about his methodology. That's the
Mhm.
beautiful things about his teaching. And that's the beautiful thing about his teaching style is it's very, how is this going to complement you? How is this going to work for how your body can move?
Mhm.
You know, maybe you don't want to work on that kind of thing because, you don't really have the body mechanics for it.
Yeah.
How about you try this? And he has an almost Ollivandrian
Yes.
ability to look at the trainers that he has and find
Oh,
something
yeah.
and put it in your hand, and suddenly you're like, why does this feel like home?
Oh, yeah, it's like the heavens open up, a choir sings, and there's lights and, like, a burst of wind, and you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, it's the the boy is spooky.
Oh, yeah.
And I get to say, boy, I am older than him.
It's a term of endearment. Momentum is Kitty's enemy because she uses a flexible weapon, spearhead rope dart. Once I start an attack, I need to be fully committed or else it could be bad. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, not much else to say on that one. Be like throwing a spear and then just halfway through the motion be like, just kidding," and
If it's really tight conditions, then it might not be nearly as bad.
it, it depends on how far it's traveling, I guess, but still.
Not helping my mental image with you being the black whirlwind there, Rich. Okay. Um, I'm going to need a little bit more context on that a little bit later.
I was gonna say that sounds like a green room thing,
Yeah.
and pretty close on pronunciation. Go me. Pretty close. Gian. Gian is closer to the pronunciation than Gian. Okay. I will try. In a rose. Yes. Yes, the Romans.
Yeah. Yeah, especially the phalanx
Oh, yeah.
where they
Yeah,
would
100%.
overlap. Yeah.
Make me a wine bowl I can hold with stumps. Yours or someone else's? I don't get that reference, but yes.
Nice.
Ooh, question for us both. In my efforts to properly research things, I have to ask, is it easier for you to fight sword foot first or shield foot first? It depends on what I'm fighting with. So, if I don't know about you, but when I'm fighting single, if like just one weapon in my dominant hand, it's sword foot first. If I have anything in my offhand, it's shield foot first. because that's what's going to be parrying and defending me. So that that's gonna be okay, like, this is what I'm using to get things out of the way. So that's what I want in front of me. What about you?
If I'm fighting single, then I am. If I'm on the offense, I'm sword foot first. If
Mhm.
I'm being more defensive, I am shield foot first. If I'm sword and shield, same kind of thing. If I am two-handed, um, again with the way that the so with Meyer, when you step, you need to be changing your guard. When you're changing
Mhm.
your guard, you should be making a cut. So all three of these things should be happening every time you're making any kind of movement. So honestly, it's your for me, it's I normally stand, dominant, side back
Mhm.
when I'm being offensive because I'm going to step in,
Yeah.
and that's where I'm going to get the most power from, is coming through on that right. I'm going to get some power if I come through and step through on the left, but I'm not going to get nearly as much power as I can coming through on the right hand side.
Yeah. Now, your style, do you often have things in your offhand?
Um Generally, if I'm fighting the normal style, it's both hands are on my weapon unless someone tags one of my hands,
Okay.
and then I'm just fighting one handed.
So
But
defensive.
with
Oh, sorry,
my
go ahead.
trainer, I can actually wield it one handed or two handed. So I have um uh gone with mine and Misty's.
Okay.
Um I've gone with mine and the trainer John I have.
Mhm.
Hopefully I didn't butcher that horribly. Um,
I don't think
uh,
the Midwestern accent is quite made for Chinese.
but when Crow was the age that they were in the video that the PSA, they were using that as a two-hander, learning some Meyer right next to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say this, and I say this at every opportunity. The best thing you can teach a child is how to fight with a sword, because they don't need to actually be able to cut somebody. Um,
Mhm.
they can pick up anything, a branch, an umbrella, whatever, and be able to use it in an effective manner. Because in today's world, in today's society, and I apologize, Nick. My language might get a little more risque than your channel usually gets, and I apologize. Um, but I'm a little bit impassioned about what I'm about to say. Um, People are going to be like, "Oh, this kid that's being pulled out of the park, kicking and screaming, just doesn't want to go home."
It's a tantrum.
Where if they are beating the ever loving hell out of somebody with an umbrella or a branch or something like that, people at least are going to record that stuff and put it on
Yes.
YouTube. I managed to sanitize that a lot more than I usually do.
Yes, well done. Well done.
Um, but but yeah, so at least there will be at least some type of video of
Yeah.
what happened
There'll be
if
a
something
record.
happens to your child. Yeah. But in best case scenario, your kid can fight somebody off and defend
Yeah.
themselves, which is going to be a lot more effective than just stomping on a foot or aiming for the testicular region.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that somebody's gonna think twice if the kid they're trying to grab is, very effectively hitting them with a stick and
Yeah,
not just, flailing about hitting them, but, hitting them very precisely in areas that hurt.
and properly applying it in a way that there's a power transfer
Yes.
instead of flailing in a way that the stick's just going to snap and break and
Mhm.
and what have you.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. So, but yeah, so when you're fighting two-handed, there's really no reason for you to be in defensive stance unless you're retreating, is there?
Um, yes and no, because it's all a lot of give and take,
Mhm.
like every battle. If someone's you know um able to press the attack more, yeah, you're going to get in a way that you're going to be able to be in a better way to use more of a defensive stance to try to push them off, to try to go ahead and get into an offensive stance.
Okay. Gotcha, gotcha.
And it really depends on the card too.
Okay. Oh, the Black Whirlwind is a character in Jade Empire, but he's very green room. Gotcha. And he has his moments for sure. So sword foot first would be the same foot that is holding the weapon in front. For what you and I have been talking about, yes. For Rich does a different style than what you and I have been talking about.
So yeah, so um
He Yeah, he does.
yeah, dominant hand, or weapon hand, main hand.
Yeah.
um
Ruby's a
yeah
southpaw, so we tend to say sword hand or dominant
yeah
hand or sword, you know.
so basically, it's where you are applying your strike from, where you are pressing your attack from. If you're fighting one-handed, generally, you are advancing, so
Mhm.
you are having that weapon in front of you.
Yes.
So, but again, with a two-handed style, um, when you're doing your advance to actually, do your more powerful attack, that um main hand, that sword hand is towards the back, so that you can actually get the leverage
Yeah.
um as you're pushing through.
There's a lot
um
more arcs involved in the two-handing. Like, if you
uh
follow the tip in the, pommel.
I think, was it Thesis that posted something about, I think it was Thesis. Hell, there's so many
We
martial
all post
arts
so much.
things that come through my Facebook feed. Um, but the kid that played Colt in um, Three Ninjas,
Oh, yeah, I love that
and
guy's stuff.
where he was talking about, um, where you're
Oh,
uh,
the s the open hand hit?
yeah,
Yes,
where
yes.
because it's the same ideology as
Yeah.
that. It's the exact same ideology, where you've got this imaginary bar that's connecting
Mhm.
everything, and you're bringing it as one solid front, and you're able to drive a lot more power through. So
Yeah.
um
Your
my
shoulders and hips
style
are
is
connected.
cuts, where rapier is a lot of thrusting.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Thesis is saying, "That's it, very good." Yes. I think I would've I think if I would have had at least some training as a child, I would have been able to better defend myself. Now now whether I would have had the guts to do it, yeah, that's probably why you didn't have the training, is because you would have been able to defend yourself. So that's probably why you were cut off from anything resembling training. But you're getting it now and you're doing awesome at it. And I'm very proud that you're doing as well as you are, and I'm proud that you're doing what you are, and you should be too. And
And yes, thesis. I have a gen trainer. It's I was trying to find something that would mirror rapier as much as I possibly could because I wanted to work in the style that Nick was also teaching,
mhm,
um, where it's my trainer and with the way. Now, granted, a lot of people were training rapier using the same brand, just a
yeah,
shorter blade
yeah,
um, of trainer. Um, but for my reach and everything, what I have as the longsword actually is what I should have. But yeah, I wanted something that I could fight other opponents with and not just club them to death like they were a baby seal.
well, also, a lot of people ended up with them around here because Thesis, I think you actually found your way over here because of him. Sword Sage was out here and was sparring with
And
us,
yeah, he
and that's
he
what he
actually
had.
used a gen, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what he had, so some people ended up with some so they could spar with him. So pe that's how a lot of people out here ended up with them. And Kitty has one. Ruby was using it for a while. By the way, why does it matter if a sword or shield foot goes in front? So if you have a defensive item in your offhand, you want that to be first because it is meant to defend you. So you want to be in defensive stance because that's going to help turn your body and put that cone of defense, which is um, geometrically when you're looking at another person, like you're looking at me now. I'm going to hold this out as an example. If I've got my sword foot first and I've got this item defending me, this is all that it blocks. Even if I'm holding it out, that's all that it blocks. It's the cone of defense. However, if I've got my defensive foot first, even if it's close, this is what it blocks. That's my cone. And then if I hold it out like this, my cone is much larger. So that's why you want that defensive stance when you're defending. So it's going to help keep you a little safer. And then if you're running, just single sword and you're trying to advance and press in, you want your sword out front. You're running offense, put your sword out front, go that way. Thesis says it's not that it matters exactly, it's how easy it is to learn. Something that was mentioned in the Armored Rose that I've been researching for my review tomorrow. I am excited to hear whether you loved it, hated it, indifferent, no matter what. Because everybody I've talked to has read through it multiple times. So, with it being your first read through, I want to see what you think. And I posted it, but Thesis commented about him being from Three Ninjas. Yes. And easy to learn. I don't understand. Um, we'll get into it
Okay.
because yeah.
It's how comfortable the
Hmm.
stance is, um, so that you learn how to strike, how to move, um, how to retreat, that kind of a thing. It's um, everyone finds their own kind of way.
Yeah.
Like for me to be in the proper stance for Meyer longsword. I should have a much wider stance, and I should have my knees bent a lot more. But the damage done to the joints in my knees, I have 100% arthritis in both knees, ain't happening.
Yeah.
So, and again, back to, our beloved Nick, he is about finding ways to modify what's going on for you to learn to fight comfortably, fight effectively.
And when I first started, I did everything from defensive stance because nobody explained the whys. They were like, "Oh, offensive, defensive stance. Go play, have fun." And I'm like, "Okay." Even if I didn't have anything, even if I was on the offense and I was trying to press, it was from defensive stance. And then I learned, and I was like, "Oh, this is much easier. Okay." But too, like, you look at those manuals, some of those positions, it's looking at a completely different book that I will not mention because, it's from
Something from
overseas.
India?
Yes, exactly. But you figure these people were learning grappling first and other things, and they were not sitting in offices and, things like that for their
Well,
lives before they
the other
started
thing
learning.
the other thing is these woodcuts are
Oh,
exaggerated
yeah.
as well, so that people can really see. I mean, if
Yeah.
people try to draw it as it really is, especially with the way the art styles were back
Oh,
then,
yeah.
and woodcuts and stuff like that, you wouldn't be able to really see. So
Yeah.
truly,
And it's
as many people as
mid-motion
they,
too.
the really way to do Meyer is to be 6 inches off the ground, so that you know
Just
your your
flying
your
through
your
the
your your
air.
your cup is leaving Spalding imprints in the dirt.
Right? Like, come on, guys. Yeah, that definitely take those as a grain of salt. Like, come on, guys. Come on. Really? Really?
And any person who wants to teach you to fight that doesn't want to take your body considerations, your joints, your physical constraints, morbidly obese, you know, um, uh, uh, the things that sprouts from here on females at about the age 11, or in my kid's age, about 8. Um,
If you have vision
Freaking
problems,
blowers. Um, but it's learning physicality, and finding someone who is willing to help you learn the proper physicality,
mhm,
because really there's only so many ways to move a sword.
there's so many ways to
If
move a body, like a
if if
human
if you
body.
if you look at oh crap, I'm going to butcher the name.
Do it. Do it.
I think it's Aeto or something like that. It's a
Ah,
uh, um, Japanese
yeah.
katana form.
Mhm,
Um, a lot of it is a more narrow stance of
mhm.
Meyer.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
A lot of it is a much narrow stance of Meyer. Now, I don't think they had, like, Aux. They might have had something close to it, but they had a lot that were very, very similar.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, joints only move so many directions. So,
Yeah.
you can only do so much. And which trainer do you have? I don't know who you're talking to with that. Um, I was gonna say, if you're talking to either me or Rich, it will take quite a while to start listing things off. Because we're kinda like Nick, and yes, lots, yes.
Uh, the Rawlings longsword. I've got the 39-inch blade. I've got two in the 34-inch blade. I've got a couple of basket hilts for it. I've got a couple of. I've got three cross hilts for it. I've got scent stoppers. I've got extended hilts. I've got to turn it into a true two-hander. I've got a couple of tomahawk trainers. A um, cold steel buckler, and I am looking to pick up a couple of kopeshes from Purple Heart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got the ones that I showed at the beginning. Couple of the Italians side swords, the rondelles, couple more dagger trainers. Yeah, yeah, just lots.
And then we've had Amtgard,
Yeah.
foam axes, swords,
Oh yeah.
pool noodle swords of various shapes, sizes, and of course, Nick
Yeah.
and his damn Nerf.
Oh yeah. Staffs and sticks galore. Yeah.
Oh, and of course, like I said, the gin.
Yeah. Um, Thesis will talk about it tomorrow. Tune in there for the tea house. And Dave, hey, welcome, welcome. Oh, I'll bet it's the Green Destiny trainer that I have in the other room. Yep, I found this channel because of Sword Sage, and it just snowballed from there. He was a fun spar,
Yeah, he definitely was. Um,
especially because it was just so different from what we did.
yeah, it's his style versus the the Meyer as misinterpreted by me was always a fun fight and a good workout,
Oh
and
yeah.
I was always sore afterwards, but not a bad sore,
No,
like a
no.
good workout
Yeah,
sore.
yeah. Like his calibration, great. You learned something every time. Okay, the first time I saw an Eastern disengage, I stopped and I was like, "What did you just do?" Because the disengage was like it came from the hilt, like the tip stayed still. And I was like, "What did you just do?" Oh, oh, oh Lord. Treaters. He's got treaters. He's appeasing the kitty cats. Tell him he's got treaters. He's he's trying to bribe the kitty cats. But, but yeah, the first time I saw an Eastern disengage, I lost my mind, and I like, it just mind blown because it was the direct opposite of what I'd been taught. Oh, if he wasn't always so busy, I would love to interview Sword Sage for tea time. That would be yes.
Is he still out in Washington, or did he
I
move
don't
again?
know where he is anymore. Yeah, I don't know where he's living. I haven't seen a video update from him in a while. That might just be because
Yeah,
I've been
I
busy.
found Skologram from him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I need to do a little bit of internet stalking and see how he's doing. First day I did Boffer, my king gave me a crash course on 5 guards and decided that was good enough. I was lucky I already had some training, or that would have been just yeah, yeah. Oof. Or as Don says, oofta. Thesis was my first and so far only trainer, but he's been amazing. Anytime I have a question, he will either answer or find someone who can. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. And Lil Haas, Hello Fencing channel that appeared on my recommended list. Well, welcome. Hopefully,
Howdy, little host. We are not the normal host.
no, we are not. We are guest hosts.
He is ill. I am trying to be a reusable facsimile in Hawaiian shirt, but we both have crazy hair and crazy facial hair, and we both love sharp, pointy things.
There are more videos on this channel if you want to see the usual host, and hopefully you enjoy your time here. So there are greetings, and this is probably there are no dumb questions. The only dumb question is one you don't ask. But I don't have any other experience. Does having
There
breasts
are two dumb questions in the world.
okay.
I I do adult education for a living. There are two dumb questions in the world. The one you don't ask because I can't fix something if you don't tell me what's
Exactly.
broken, and the one that you don't heed the answer to. If you break your leg, you go to the
Yeah.
doctor puts it in a cast and says, you can't go skiing tomorrow, and you take that cast off and you go skiing tomorrow, you are a dumbass. I apologize for the language, Nick. It has to be said that way.
But that's not a dumb question. That is dumb
It is a dumb
disregard.
question because you asked a question and you didn't listen to the answer.
That, fair enough.
If you're not
But
going to listen to the answer, it's a stupid question.
but
Because why ask it?
fair enough. Does having breasts really affect how you fight that much? Okay. So I'm
Yes,
gonna take this,
I can actually answer that because I have moves.
but I find no, and I say this because as somebody that's had them and grown into them, and I've had them for over 20 years now. I know how to move with them. I know where they are, and, that I don't I like, I know how to move around them. So, um, it's usually guys that or women, I'll say it's both. It's everybody that develops the chest muscles behind the fatty tissue very quickly, and they're not used to them being where they are anymore. So if you gain weight or develop um that muscle very quickly, that's when you start having problems. But if you've had the same chest size for, an extended period of time and you're not one that's just, punching yourself in the chest very often, I don't think you'll have an issue. Um if you do find that you're having issues, let me or Kitty or Foxy or somebody know, and we'll find a workaround, and we'll figure something out.
Yeah, it's figuring out how to
Yeah.
just hold your body around it.
Mhm.
It's your body is naturally going to know how to move and not collide with itself
Yeah. The missile
generally.
knows where it is because it knows where the missile is not.
So yeah, if as long as you can keep that in mind, um, and I mean, if if you lose your temper and you just start wailing on stuff, then yeah, it's really going to affect stuff because
Yeah.
you've lost your mindfulness of the presence of where you are
Yeah.
and how you are.
Or
Um, you know,
yeah. Or if you're
but
doing more high impact practice or, you're sparring and you don't have the proper support, that's when you're gonna start having issues too. But say you're just doing slow drilling, you're probably not gonna have an issue, at least in my experience. Other people might have different experiences, but that's been my general experience. Um, so like I said, if you have a different experience than what I've had, let somebody know. We'll find a workaround.
My wife is very gifted in that area,
Mhm.
and when she was learning, because it was very different from anything she had done.
Okay.
She had to learn a different way to move, a different
Mhm.
physicality. Um, but it's she adapted very quickly. Actually, because again, it's once you learn, okay, I stand here to do this, okay, to get in this guard, okay, instead of being in tight here,
Mhm.
I've got to come out an inch and a half so that my arm can clear everything
Yeah.
instead of getting caught up on myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, as a very chubby individual myself, I had the same problem where I would get caught up on fat and
Yeah.
everything like that. So yeah, it's it learning your physicality, learning the proper moves, and again, it's just learning how to um
How to move with yourself.
find um that modification. That's the word I
Yeah.
was looking for, modification.
Yeah. Which you are a dancer, so you're probably already used to having arm movements with each motion. So, I don't anticipate you having issues with it, but
Yeah, if you're a dancer, um okay, if you're a dancer, if you ride horses, if um you're a rock climber, if you're a swimmer, if you're a runner, these are individuals who are always very aware of their body, where parts of their body are hitting and everything, because it for what they're doing, they have to be for rock climbing. It's kind of a survival thing. If you're running, it's kind of a survival thing too. You put your foot in the wrong place, you're going to break your ankle and possibly break your neck. Um, but it's that translates because you're like, okay, I did this as this. You're going to have to unlearn a little bit of what you have learned, but a lot of it is going to translate once you sit back and realize, okay, I've got to look at it with fresh eyes. Oh, hey, that's close to that, which
Mhm.
is how I was watching that Japanese style, which
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. It begins with an I. I think it was Aito. But I looked at a lot of the moves and I'm like, that's very close to um, what I do, except it's a slightly different stance. It's you know um, that kind of a thing.
I have I have the internet at my fingertips. Eat over you? I don't know. Anyway,
The webs is being mean.
the webs did not give me anything right away. Traditional. Yeah, we'll look later. Um, Foxy says it can Ruby, the bigger you are, the more they affect your balance and such things. And Kitty says, "Oh yes, and how big and small they are makes a difference too." So they have different experiences than I have. So we'll find out. Fencing and sword fighting are slightly different styles of footwork and hand-to-hand combat. Yeah, very much. You are lucky because at first didn't really have much experience training women, so I would have been a much worse trainer for you. You learn. You learn. You communicate and you learn. And have any of you seen Kingdom Come Deliverance? If so, what's your opinion on it? I have not. Have you?
Haven't even heard of it.
Okay. Um, it looks like there's stuff farther down in the cat, I swear. That question was for Rich. I was asking, I'm going to butcher it because my mouth is dry. Which trainer he has? I've got a Purple Heart Type 3. Asking which GN. Cat, if you know
Ah,
what those
um,
mean.
yeah, I haven't got any of the Purple Heart stuff yet.
Mm.
I am eyeing that Kopesh as probably the first thing I get from there. Although there is, um, uh, looks like Kingdom Come Deliverance is something about a game.
Oh.
Um, uh, like I said, it's I'm really looking forward to get my hands on that Kopesh.
Mm.
They've got a couple of curve that I really want to play with, but the Kopesh is probably the first I want because I really like axes, I really like
Oh,
swords,
yeah.
and the Kopesh is the bastard love child. The, the my blood is Norse, but apparently the Egyptians made the perfect weapon.
And I have an answer to the Japanese style. It's Yado. Yaido?
Okay.
And we have approval from our sword master. So, um, doesn't ring a bell, but the memory is terrible for Foxy. Cat, I love you too. I've seen some gameplay. Thanks, buddy. But I haven't really had any chance to play. Looks decent. It's a game that's supposed to have historically accurate techniques. It sounds vaguely familiar. Thesis has more to do with the video games. Kitty cat. Hi, background Joe. Really? Sir, I know Joe gave you the treaters. I'll find a way. Haha, oofta. And the love of for sharp and pointies is indeed universal. Different answers from different styles of fighters. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so I haven't really seen the styles that Foxy and Kitty do. So I wonder if it's the different stances that we do.
Oh, the different weapons too, is since
Yeah, we do
Kitty
different
is
weapons.
more rope dart, they said,
Yeah,
and I don't know what Foxy uses.
yeah. So I, I'm thinking Fox or Kitty's is definitely more dynamic than what I do. So yeah, I can see. Hi, can I help you? I had more issues before reduction because I was so large that my balance was very affected. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes quite a bit of sense. Yeah, at a certain point, yeah, definitely, it would affect you no matter what. And I've had her doing drills after class of putting a trainer in her hands while she dances. It's been interesting to see her improve from just hitting things at random to now she is much more controlled. That's awesome. That's a really good drill. I have one where I hit like a golf ball or a ping pong ball that's hanging from a ceiling. But oh, that sounds fun. I kind of want to do that now.
Back when I still had the house, I had a tire hanging in the
Okay.
front yard hanging from a tree that
Yeah.
I would do my Meyer cross on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would do the ping pong ball to work on my, point control because it would just kinda randomize where it was going. Yes, yes.
Yeah, one of the things with Meyer cross that it's you can come all the way through, or
Okay.
you can do half, and then you know, so it's always fun to go ahead and mix it up like that. And somewhere I have a thing that is 30 days of Meyer Cross, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
you do so many of it, this day, this way, then you do, so many, where it's you do all the way through on one day, you do halves on another, then you do so many that's all the way through, then halves, and then it's
Okay,
it's
yeah.
weird, it's wild, and it's tiring by the end of the week.
But it probably keeps you from getting bored trying to do training.
Oh yeah, and it definitely at that point in time was definitely helping with my endurance. It was helping getting me back in shape. It was helping getting me moving.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Um, and Thesis Yato or Yato. I can't pronounce anything tonight. It's the first one. The first one, probably.
I believe so.
Okay. Japanese isn't exactly my forte, but I think that's what you are talking about. Yes, probably. Fred, Mom, you're past your hour. Yeah. Oh, we went. Yeah, we're already a quarter of it past it. Goodness.
That's right. Foxy does use a fan. I
Yeah,
forgot about that
I knew that. I don't know why I forgot about it. Easy to carry and not classed as a weapon in most places.
because it's her and hell, I can't remember her name.
Cindy,
Um,
Cindy Cat.
Cindy, yeah, Cindy
Yep.
Cat. Um,
Yeah,
are
she also does the fan.
the fans, yeah.
That's right. And Meyer website has been fun to create your own drills. I've been using it for a couple weeks now with the drills that I taught her. Nice. And yep, Cindy did it too. That is fantastic. I'm glad that you found the Meyer website. So with
Yeah,
that,
it's one thing with German longsword is German longsword. There's very little thrusting. It's
mhm,
almost considered rude unless you're in the bind.
it's
Where rapier, that's really all it's about.
right. They're like everything about your style is just rude. Eh, fair enough. Fair enough. But I think with that, we've gone about 20 minutes over. Oh, and Thesis has the cutting square for those interested in the Meyer website. But we've been 20 minutes past the hour, and I had fun. I don't know about you. That was a good time.
It's always fun to talk swords.
I know, right? Oh darn, that's a whole hour
Yeah.
plus about
Well, one,
talking about
it's always fun
training,
to talk with you and Joe and
right?
everyone that's in the chat. It's you know it's family. It's just a great place to be, a great place to hang out. The only thing that would be better is if it were in person and Nick was here.
Right, just we just need to get, like, everybody. We might need the black bag, like Thesis and Foxy, but, like, everybody around a fire.
What would be great is if sometime this summer, if everyone's in at least practicing
Oh, yeah.
shape,
Oh,
not
yeah.
necessarily fighting shape, practicing shape.
Oh, yeah.
Having just a live stream show where we're doing this type of stuff at a practice.
Yes. Oh, yes. And Nick says enough of things next week or wants to focus on con prep. I volunteered to talk about Eastern fighting. I would love to do, like, an Eastern Western thing, talk about the differences and the similarities. I
Yeah,
would love to do that.
I'd love to be on a panel, talking back and forth with Thesis on that.
We would need to set aside like a whole day panel, I feel. I think we would just get like going into it and just have too much fun. Maybe we should do that sometime. Just whole day panel, set it up, and kick back. It would be fun because I know when I was on Thesis's show, we sat in the back in the green room after it ended and talked for like another hour, and then we were like, "I'm starving. I need to go." But on that note, speaking of starving, I actually need to find something to drink because I have cotton mouth so bad. I I've gone through this. I have gone through this. It was full at the beginning of this. This is a 64-ounce bottle. It's a 64-ounce bottle. I went through it in an hour and a half, so it's so
And
dry here.
we're not even going to touch the bottles that Nick doesn't want represented on his show.
Oh,
Yeah, all of them are cited. Good. Okay.
no in advance and cookies. Even if we just like don't even film it and we just get into Discord and talk about it, it would be fun. But on that note, anything you want to say?
Um, you know, watch the the matches of us sparring.
Mhm.
Whether it's Trey and I, or any of us, with Jim Robertson. He's another
Oh
good
yeah.
one to watch. Any of us with Sword Sage. Definitely go watch the PSA with um their name at the time was Sarah, so it is probably going to be saying Sarah instead of Crow, but um uh so uh definitely watch that. Definitely watch that. That's fun. Especially since Nick asked for it. Literally asked for it. But yeah, just enjoy the channel, um you know listen to what Nick says. Find your fight. Find your comfort zone. Find the weapon that you put it in your hand and it's home. And then learn how it moves.
Yeah. Just a note on this comment. This has happened before, and um, another fighter and we were far enough away from each other. We both shrugged, stood up, and just started talking. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. But as Nick says, keep your eyes open, keep your guard up, do your drills, be kind to yourself and each other. Thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. We love you, and you should too. See you, folks.